Vehicles and mounts today on Dungeons and Taverns. Hi, I'm Saul Sunforge, and welcome to Dungeons and Taverns. This is a place where you can come for helpful hints and tips for DMs and players alike, whether you're new or you're more advanced. I give free maps and as well as character builds. I release planned content every 3 days, as well as the occasional unplanned content if you wish to see me playing video games in my free time. And I never know when I'm going to be playing, so check that out. Today's video is on vehicles and mounts. Um, in my experience as a player, which isn't very, it's very limited, admittedly, compared to my experience as a dungeon master, there wasn't too many vehicles or mounts in the campaigns or the sessions that I played in. And I think a lot of it is because dungeon masters don't want to deal with the perceived headache of basically an easy button. Vehicular travel throughout the world uh, trivializes a lot of encounters that you can just completely bypass. And so I think what it is a lot of DMs just forego it. So we can talk about some of these vehicles and mounts in this video, as well as show you some of them. And I'm going to give you some quest ideas, like I always do, at the end that you can use in any of your campaigns. Now, Dungeons and Dragons is a lot of fun, and so are other TTRPGs. But at least in D&D, there's a problem with currency in terms of there really isn't as many items as there was in the past for you to purchase. If you decide that you acquire a lot of wealth, what is there really for you to buy? Well, mounts and vehicles is an excellent thing for you to want to purchase, and as a dungeon master, it's an amazing thing for you to incorporate in order to, take some of that treasure and give players something that they can actually purchase. Now, like I said earlier in the video, vehicles and mounts are great for bypassing world travel encounters. But as a dungeon master, you don't have to fear them because you can incorporate them into encounters. Make chase scenes, if the party's on horseback, perhaps they're chasing down a wagon, of criminals, bank robbers, they're chasing down possibly a heist. So you can make a whole bunch of different things from the mounts. It doesn't just have to be a means to an end. You can always find ways to keep incorporating this into the game. Say that they want to make their own, which I suggest that you highly encourage your players if they wish to make their own vehicle, that they certainly can. And the reason you want to do this is because you set the price. The players set exactly what they want in the vehicles, right? But you can set the value of that vehicle, and you still get to set the speed of the vehicles, right? So no matter the functionality of the vehicle in its totality, it still is going to go the same speed, whatever speed that you set it to be. And of course, the faster you allow the vehicle to be, the more of the currency, the coin, gold you can take for it. And then you can also have it so if the players wish to make the price of that vehicle cheaper, or perhaps as a quest reward, like they're given a plan, but they have to go hunt down the individual ingredients, or not ingredients because this isn't a potion, but materials, to make those vehicles, to make it happen. And then the more intricate the vehicle is, the more extensive that list is going to be. And so you basically allowed the players to write a great portion of the campaign, because this isn't going to be something that they can do in 1 or 2 sessions. Of course, this can be side activities here and there based on the locations they're already going, which I also highly suggest you do as well if you're looking for time considerations. You want to kind of truncate your world so that everything coincidentally is near what it needs to be near for like 2 or 3 different objectives. Another great reason to have vehicles is exploration. Make places that the players can't access unless they have a specific mount or vehicle. Say that there's a huge, known quantity of ore, or minerals or whatever in a mountain, but there's not really a readily available way for them to get there. Well, they would need a burrow or something like that, so they could purchase or rent a vehicle that has some type of drill bit on it or some type of mechanic like that. Maybe it's a bullet. You have a tamed bullet that's just burrowing through the rock on your behalf. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can make it as crazy as you want. And that was just really like a second and a half split idea. You can make it as crazy or exotic as you want, and you can make the mounts, the more exotic that they are. You can have exotic mount marketplaces, or you can have underground marketplaces where mounts that really aren't available even in the material world can be found. Mounts from the Shadowfell or the Feywild, and they can be purchased at that market for a nice cost, of course, because the distance considerations and the absolute rarity of that mount. DMs, perhaps you can have a quest where someone an NPC who thinks they're the greatest, insert whatever, the greatest adventurer, the greatest fighter, the greatest scholar, the greatest explorer, whatever, the greatest wizard. You get the picture. And they challenge the player to a duel in that respective field. Of course, you have to think of that overarching plot there. And then the prize can be a rare and exotic mount. You can also incorporate rare and exotic mounts out in the wild. In the forest, in the mountains, near a volcano, near elemental ley lines, things like that. The mount doesn't even need to be doesn't even need to be an animal or a beast or anything like that. It can straight be an elemental horse, a freaking horse made out of bound magma. Whatever you want. It's literally your creativity and what you want to do with it. And I think that's a big aspect missing from the games is the creativity of it all. And I think this would help interject some more creativity back into the finished product. And I'm going to show you here in a moment some flying mounts to keep going with the theme of allowing the players to access areas that they may not necessarily be able to access without the help of a flying mount. Say a Pegasi, or a Griffin, or a Periton, or any type of flying mount that you wish. And it could be mechanical, it could be a construct, And if you're going steampunky with it, it could be a blimp or an airship, or it could even be a personalized bicycle with wings. Really, anything you want, depending on the type of genre of game you're playing. And I know I focus a lot of my tips towards D&D, but really a lot of what I say I feel has very good bearing and solid grounding in many different styles of games, and you can tailor my advice to any of them as you wish. Oh, and DMs, if you let your players catch animals in the wild, don't forget to let them use their animal handling skill. And feel free to roleplay it out, such as if they go to a meadow and there's horses or gazelle or what have you, any animal that they're trying to win the favor of to become their mount. And you go ahead and describe the field or whatever, and describe them grazing, describe the animal around its sizes and dimensions. Make sure you kind of look these things up so you kind of know what you're talking about. And you could turn it all into like a wonderful scene where you're building in the attachment to this animal before it really even has a chance to happen. But you're forming this bond rather quickly, and so it's going to have more meaning in the campaign. So describe the animal maybe being scared or timid or maybe even aggressive, and perhaps the players can feed it or something like that. And describe all those things out, and it'll turn into a rather lovely scene that your players are going to remember for quite some time. All right, so before I go, let me show you some of the flying mounts you could possibly get. The giant eagle here, it's on page 324 of the monster manual. It has a fly speed of 80, and really any of these giant varieties of beasts would be pretty cool. A giant fly would probably be pretty cool, but I bet you that hasn't really been done too much. That would be up to you. I can see the giant wasp that's on page 329 of the monster manual being something of for the Feywild. But here's the one I really wanted to show you. Page 250 of the monster manual, a Pegasus. They have a 90-foot fly speed, which is pretty damn fast. Yeah, 90 is a faster than ancient dragons. Look at this. Ancient gold dragon, 80. Ancient deep dragon, 80. Ancient green dragon, 80. Look at that. Ancient brass dragon, 80. So the Pegasus has 90. I can see monodrones, the flying modrons that are in the Clockwork Nirvana Mechanus. That is the mechanical realm, or the equivalent in the game that you play, because most games have them. Let's face it. These are flying constructs, and I can see uh, constructs being very good for mounts. I've done it. I've made them, and as a player and as a DM, and it's a lot of fun. You can add a lot of different attachments and things to constructs, make different functions and features, and I would probably advise not allowing these to be used in terms of combat, not allowing them to have attacks and things like that, because then it could get just too crazy, too overpowered, and that's not really what it's meant for. But that's a cautionary tale, and that is up to you if you wish to do it or not. But I've done it, and I'm telling you, don't do it unless you want the hassle. And speaking of the dragons that I was using as an example earlier, but I very much caution you and probably would just say don't do it. Don't give your players a dragon mount because they are going to want to use it in combat. And there's isn't too many ways you can make it make sense. I mean, you can, but the players are going to know that you're just taking away their abilities to use the dragon. And the reason they're getting that dragon is almost always because they're wanting to try to use its abilities in combat, in my experience. So I'm just giving you my cautionary tales. You can feel free to ignore them at your own peril. Bound elementals would make a very good mount as well. Or they could just be friendly elementals that are willing to uh, carry you for a certain amount of time, or maybe indefinitely. Maybe they're actually your friend. There's a whole bunch of different ways you could play it, but elementals would serve as very wonderful mounts. The air elemental here has a flying speed of 90, which is, as we know, faster than all the ancient dragons that we looked at. If you're looking for something from a desert environment, go with a Jinn. A Jinn has a flying speed of 90. Ifrits have a flying speed of 60, but I would also probably not use that necessarily because they would give off damage as they are burning. So you would have to have some type of fire immunity, and I don't think it would work out as well. But it could still be cool, and I could still see it. Really, anything you can make anything work if you want to, if you try hard enough, and that's the great thing about tabletop. All right, well, I think that's pretty good for the amount of examples. Um, Hopefully that helps and gives you an idea though of some things, and feel free to take it and run with it. Um, and come up with your own creations. You can let me know in the comment section down below any mounts that you've created or that other players in campaigns that you've DM'd or played in have created, and even quest lines and things like that. I would appreciate those comments, and I respond to all of them. If you wish to join my Discord, it's down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Have a great day. I am going to go ahead and get some sleep before I put the finishing touches on the D&D campaign tomorrow, before I go out and do like 10 hours of DoorDash. So my schedule's full, but I decided to come home, make you guys a video, and I'm going to head to bed. So take care. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed yet, that's curious. That's a curious decision. You should probably subscribe. I'm pretty cool, I think. But I appreciate all of you. I'm tired, and I'm getting out of here.